Everyone, hope everything is going well. It's this week in Hanky Panky. So I'm doing these videos. Yeah, I don't have that much time, but because of how the whole hobby is quiet on many issues, I'm kind of forced to do these videos because look, if no one's going to speak up. Someone has to. Anyways, let's take a look at this week in Hanky Panky. Now, this is an older article, and it's still important to the issue that I've raised in the past. And it says, here are the most valuable sports cards ever sold. This is on abc27.com. And this is just an affiliate of ABC. Anyways, it talks about the Globe and Mail. They said that there are many cards, or some of these cards sold for high amounts. And here's the thing about some of these high-end cards. If you just look at some of these cards, some of these are actually private sales. Okay. Now we have to be careful of private sales because were they actually legit? This is an important question. If you go back to 2022, Card Ladder reported that a Justin Herbert high-end card sold for $1 million. The rumor, though, was that this card was not sold for $1 million. There's hanky panky going on, and an individual was allegedly trying to manipulate that market to make it seem that Herbert cards were, you know, basically on level with some of the high-end Tom Brady cards, which sounded insane because Justin Herbert, yeah, he has a high Wonderlic score. Yeah, he can run. Yeah, he has a stronger arm than, a lot of quarterbacks, but at the same time, he hasn't won anything. So that's why it seems suspicious. So be careful when you see these lists of high-end cards, and if it says private sale, you need to be like, hey, who can verify it? I mean, I think Darren Rovell got mad when I questioned this sale by, or when you had that ex PWCC guy as the intermediary, and he flipped out and said that, hey, everything I checked, I verified, I did much better than Card Ladder. Okay, fine, but that doesn't mean some hankus pankus could go on behind the scenes. And that's why I do not like the concept of these private sales. Could it have been legit? Sure, but we need like more verification, in my opinion, to authenticate it. That's just me, my own opinion. You can think whatever you want. Just another day in the sports card hobby. This is what Shine posted this, I think, on his IG. A few other people, Mr. Wonderful Ken Golden. Nothing to see here, guys and gals. Nothing to see here. Just another day. These high end guys rolling in the hobby. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why some people got triggered of this, but okay. When I just questioned some of this over here. Anyways, Jeff Wilson did a video about GameStop, and he asked Nat Turner about it because there are a lot of channels saying that, hey, look, I think Dustin was one of them, saying, hey, look, it's a good idea if GameStop buys PSA and, the collector's holding brand. Now, if people are saying they want GameStop should buy the whole collector's holding brand. Well, that would include the coin business that Collectors Holdings has, and on top of it, Wada Games and a few of the other businesses they have. I just think that's flat out ridiculous, to be honest. I don't think it would happen, but you know, Jeff Wilson said the rumor started in part because GameStop announced it was raising $1.75 billion for acquisitions and investments. And he says the connection some have made to PSA card is not true, according to Collector CEO Nat Turner. Well, hold on. Nat Turner, you cannot trust. Okay? First of all, he's hanging out with guys like Goonblatt. He's using people like Goonblatt for security, right? And we know the accusation Goonblatt has had, right? So, first of all, you could totally distrust the guy. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're hanging out with those type of people, they got to be questioned. Not really, or not many people are going to cover it. Maybe Mind Cycle, Cards, and maybe a few others. That's it. Okay. Two, I had this from a few years, not a few years ago, but I had this, and I did a story. I did a few stories actually, and I said that, hey, look, we shouldn't trust Nat Turner because he's lied. And then you had VVG Club. He posted this, or he at DM me. He says, "Can you share where he has lied?" So I showed him a DM that I made to Nat Turner 2 years ago. And I asked him, hello, is it true that Collectors is trying to spin off Golden Auctions? This is what you could see timestamp November 2023, November 26th. And Nat Turner says, huh, pretending like he didn't know what the hell was going on. And the VVG Club, I don't know, he's dancing again. But he asked, or when asked for substantiation for AI Sports accusation that Nat Turner lies, this was just an example. And while I was on lunch break, this is what I said to him. He said, huh, when I asked him a question. Okay, if you really want to look at more detail, right? There are things that I don't share or I talk about, but people are not going to remember. This is one of the stories that I linked. DM from a hobby insider who has given me decent intel in the past. And by the way, there are hobby insiders that share information with me. Okay? Because they know that I'm one of the few people that will speak up, even if I don't get that many views. Okay? This is in November of 2023. 6 months before Junk Wax Hero and Collectibles Guru discussed how PSA would sell Golden to eBay. I decided not to cover this in November of 2023. Nat knew when I messaged him and pretended not to know anything. This was the DM from the Hobby Insider. Okay? I'm not going to divulge who this individual is. Nat is shopping Golden. Ask around, you will get confirmed sources. I wouldn't make it a story today, just be ahead of it. I didn't do a story about this. I decided not to cover it. Okay? I think I must have talked about it once the story broke down in April of last year. I was hearing all sorts of stuff with Junk Wax and, Collectibles Guru. But yeah, this guy had the intel, once again, who has provided me with decent intel in the past. This is November 2023. Nat Turner, in my opinion, knew what was going on, and he pretended, in my opinion, to play stupid. All he could have done is, I don't respond to internet rumors, or two, he could have ignored my DM, right? So, he clearly knew what's up, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Last thing, this Fanatics Fest returns to NYC with exclusive baseball cards, celebrity, athletes, and more. Okay, so they're going back to New York, and they have exclusive merchandise and Museum of Greatness featuring $200 million of the most iconic cards of all time. And they're borrowing cards from these high-end guys. I wonder who these high-end guys are. And last year they had Shine 150's collection, Shine 150 Fanatic Fest. Okay, like Shine's $70 million card collection. Okay, all right, we saw this here. Just another day in the sports card hobby. Okay, so this year they're gonna get $200 million of the most iconic cards. Whose cards are they? No clue. All of this fugazi going on, this hobby, you don't know what's real, what's not, hanky panky all over. And, Travis Scott and Michael Rubin, they're going to be working together. you know, it is what it is. But here's the thing from last year is a interesting story. I was people reached out to me saying, "Hey, we have tickets, free tickets. Do you want to go?" I'm like, I'm in Chicago, first of all, and no, I'm not going to take those tickets. I'd rather pay on my own because, I don't want to be, beholden to anyone in regards to, covering stories. So, you know, I think like the only time people have like bought something for me, it's like I think it's like P. Ryan's breakfast. I had like what $6 bagel and orange juice. I don't remember how much it cost. And then what's his name? The comedian. He sent me a bunch of these cards. I did a live stream with him. Colin Shoemaker. Yeah, that's about it. So I don't take these type of stuff because hey, look, I'm gonna be compromised if I start taking, collaborating with people, taking this, taking that. Like, no, I want to be able to speak freely. Yeah, I'm not gonna make much, but once again, things need to be called out. Things need to be highlighted. Because if things are not highlighted, well, guess what? New collectors will be left in the dark. The hobby is going to be left in the dark, and it's going to be a PR fest for PSA and Fanatics. That's why if someone's independent, not paid off, bought off, this is your time to shine. Now, it's not about getting the most amount of views, it's about covering hard hitting issues. Okay? So let me know your thoughts. Anyways, have a nice week, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.